Hello YouTubes! Welcome back, Haunt fam. Today I want to finish up my Krampus nutcracker. I love to take Christmas nutcrackers like these little guys and make them have some accidents, whoops, and bust them up and make them into cool creepy little monsters. I'll link my my video below in the comments or in the description of all the ones I've built so far. But I started on him a year ago, haven't had a chance to finish him, and now is the time. Christmas is coming, it's almost on top of us. Maybe it's today, I don't know. But I want to get back on him, and we're going to finish this guy. So let's jump on him, we'll take Krampus, we'll go to the bench. Okay, YouTubes. I've got Krampus separated from his little rooftop. We'll deal with him later. The rooftop is basically just a base to hold him. It's basically just a piece of scrap plywood and a couple of triangles of wood that I glued and screwed in here. I got a couple of paint sticks for trim, looking like one of those old little European little timber houses. And I've got it kind of just roughed in with paint, so we got to finish that. And then I've got a chimney I made, which is basically just a piece of 2x3 that I went ahead, took a paddle bit and just drilled through. And this will be our chimney, and then I covered it with Bondo body filler, and I just dremelled out little stones and rocks. So this thing's basically ready to be painted. We'll put it on the roof. We got to do some shingles and get this whole little base piece done and ready to accept Krampus. So we might as well go ahead and let's start with the chimney. I got a bunch of different earth tones. I think I'll find a dark gray. We're going to paint this chimney out. And I want to go and do some individual color stones with it. So I'm going to go ahead, heck, I'll just go ahead and put some paint right on there. There we go. Alrighty. Mostly I want to be down in them cracks. I'm going to use that dark gray as a base to get down in between all the stones like the actual grout. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this thing up. And when I come back, we'll finish up the chimney, throw a couple of colors on it, and we'll go right back to this rooftop and get this thing ready to go because we got to put shingles on this thing. Okay, YouTube, so our little chimney is drying. I got it all based out in gray. We're going to let that sit. I went ahead and wiped the brush off. I did not clean. I want to muddle all these colors together so everything looks kind of dirty and nasty like a filthy 100-year-old village. These I just kind of spray painted way back when. They're kind of bright. I want to kill that white. I want to use a nice little old stucco color, so I'm going to go with this cream coat. I'm going to pour a little bit in a cup. And usually I work on paper plates, but I'm out of them, so I usually just work on little cups and I can kind of blend the colors together and just run right up the side. So I'm going to get this guy knocked out. Yeah, see, that already looks 10 times better, like a dirty old nasty European little cottage. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all this out. I'll probably dry brush a little bit of the brown on top. The paint sticks are so easy. You can put the grain in there with just a screwdriver by dragging it. So like I said, this thing was scrap wood, super easy. We just got to ugly it up and make it dirty, like looks like it's a 200-year-old village house. So I'm going to get this painted up, then we're going to bounce back on the chimney. Okay, YouTube, so we got her painted up. It's more of an off-white kind of stucco color. I'll probably ugly it up later with the wash. But for now, I'm going to call the roof done. I'm going to bounce back on this chimney. It's basically dry and ready to go. I've taken just a handful of different browns, a red, some darker colors. I'm going to go ahead and paint out a bunch of individual bricks on the chimney. I'm just going to dip in. Again, I haven't cleaned my brush from the last the stucco color, and that's okay. I'm just going to let it blend in. So I'm going to pick out a bunch of individual rocks. And then I'm going to take a different color, dip in again, not cleaning my brush. We'll go through, and I want to do this to the whole chimney and get a bunch of different colors of rocks and stone styles on here so it looks like it was made from a bunch of pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and paint up this whole chimney, and when I come back, the chimney will be done, and we're going to start on shingles for this bad boy. Okay, YouTube, so we're getting there. Got a bunch of different colors on so far. I'm just kind of blending them together. And we're getting there, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this thing up, and we're going to move on to shingles. Okay, YouTube, so we're done. I went ahead and dirtied up the side, painted the top of the braces and stuff, and little posts and beams. I went ahead and added a black wash to the chimney, so the chimney's done. It's kind of sitting off to the side and drying. The chimney will go somewhere up here. So for now, I'm just going to let this sit. I want to go ahead and get some craft foam. That's like the stuff you get from Joann's or Michael's for 89 cents a sheet or whatever. I'm going to cut a bunch of strips out of it. And I'm going to put a bunch of little snips in there like little shingles. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to do courses and go all the way to the top, and then when I get to the top, I'll find out where I want to put the chimney, and I'll just razor blade that out, and then I'll put some DevCon on it. We'll glue the chimney down into place. So we're going to use our good old Super 77. I'm not worried about masking anything off. I just want to put a layer of glue down. Alright, we'll do our first course. I want to overhang a little bit. Probably 1/8 to 1/4 inch or so, something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these with the razor blade. I want them to look the part, but I don't want them to be split open. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these like so. Probably every 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to make a little slash to make it look like a little shingle. And I don't want to really go through because we're going to heat gun these guys afterwards and we're going to open them all up. So we're going to do this first course. It ain't got to be perfect. If you do it by eyeball, it looks better. Okay, so now we're going to do our next course on. I'm going to try and stagger these guys a little bit. And I'm not worried about covering the holes where Krampus stands, because we're going to take a screwdriver and we'll poke our holes from the backside. So I'm going to go ahead and keep building upwards. I'm going to stagger shingles, again with just little strips. I'm going to work my way all the way to the top of the roof. When we get to the top, I'll cut out the room for the chimney, I'll glue that on, and then we'll heat gun these, and I'll make some nicks and scratches. We'll open these bad boys up, make the roof look like real shingles. But so far, so good. Okay, YouTubes, we're done. All the shingles are glued on. I went ahead and just trimmed the top of the roof off with a razor blade. I'm going to go ahead and put a little ridge cap along the back, so I'm just going to glue just this strip. I'm going to let that tack up. I'm going to sit that halfway over, and I'm going to bend it right over the top of the ridge. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to trim the sides. I'm going to mark out a place for the chimney. Might as well do that now. I don't want it to be completely towards the top of the roof. I'm going to go to the inside a little bit. Maybe something like here. Alright. I'm going to cut these back. I'm going to go ahead and use some good old DevCon, my favorite, to glue the chimney in place. And I'll put the ridge vent on, and then I want to kind of snip some uneven little marks in these guys. And then we're going to heat them with the heat gun, and we're going to do the wire brush, and we're going to really make them look like shingles. Okay, YouTubes, here comes the fun part. We're all stuck down to the roof. I went ahead and lifted up the shingles. Every other shingle, I just took a little snip off to make it look like it's kind of offset and all hand cut and hand made. So now that we're got all the shingles, make it look like there's a big individual, like they were hand nailed on. Oh, there's two that are close together. Clip this one. Again, it ain't got to be perfect. If it's hand done, it looks the better. We're going to take just a regular wire brush. We're going to comb these shingles to make it look like they're actual cedar shakes. And then for this top board, we just want to make like kind of like a long grain. And you ain't got to do real hard, just enough to kind of bust that texture in. Just to make it look like a real roof. And then you can hit it a little bit. Pop some holes in there. Rough it up so it literally looks like a really little 200, 300-year-old cottage village. So I don't know if you guys can see the texture or not. But man, that looks awesome, and all it is just foam. The best part though is this. We're going to take the old heat gun out, jack her up on high, and we're going to open them seams up and make it look like they're starting to twist and warp, and they're really, really old. They're starting to raise up, spread out a little bit. This is what really sells it. Keep the edges. Alright. You can do as much as you want, or as little, depending on how you like your shingles. We'll go ahead and mash them down. Oh, they're still warm. Yeah, that's a nice, cool friggin' look. I love that. I think the last thing I want to do is went over to the Dollar Days, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, General Dollar, all the dollar doors, Dollar Store, whatever. They got these little Christmas light necklaces that light up. You just hit the little button. They take a little watch battery or something like that. You can click them on, and they blink. I thought these were really cool, and they were only $1. How can I have that for $1? So what I think my next plan of attack is, I'm going to finish off this roof. I'm going to go ahead and string some Christmas lights around the eave. I'll hide the battery in the back in case I want to change them out. So it'll look like a little Christmas house along the eaves. And then we're going to finish this thing off, and we're going to dust some Santa snow on it. So it looks like old Krampus is on the roof, and we're going to be ready to drop him on. I'll drill the holes out for his feet. And when we come back, this thing will be done, and we're getting ready to work on Krampus. Okay, YouTubes, our roof is done. Got our Christmas lights a-blinking. Went ahead and put the switch right back here, so you can just reach back here and tap which mode you want the lights in. I went ahead and used UV resin to kind of tack it down, then I went back with some hot glue and made some little icicles. I got his holes punched out for where Krampus stands. I did a quick dry brushing over the roof, and I put a little bit of hot glue on top of the chimney to look like ice. I think this thing's basically done. It's ready for Krampus. I think the last thing I want to do with this thing is, I don't know if it'll work or not, but we're going to try it anyways, is some windows snow. This is the stuff you spray in to make it look like your windows are all frosty. So I don't know if it's going to be a total mess or if it's going to work, but we've got to have some fresh snow for Krampus, man. Come on now. Alright. Ooh, man, that's a mess. Oh, that's nice and frosty. Alright, we're going to let that dry. Oh, you can see the Christmas lights. We're going to let that dry, and when we come back, we're going to jump on Krampus and get him finished. Okay, YouTubes, so our roof is done. We're going to let that sit for a while. We're working on Krampus. Like I said, I started him last year. I took a store-bought nutcracker I had, and I cut the arms and legs off. I used dowel rods to basically just cut and section and make my own, and then I drill them in and I glue them right back into their arm sockets so that if they drop, they don't bust apart into a million pieces. I might have the original picture down below. I'll try and put the picture down below of what this Krampus looked like when I started on him. I just keep the trunk and the head, and I make sure they're always functional. So as you can see, Krampus functions. I got little paint stick teeth, and I try and keep all my nutcrackers, and I use wood on them like they come from the store and traditionally. So my horns are actually coat hangers that I bent around, and I put automotive panel glue in, and then I just twisted it when it was still wet to kind of mold them into a shape of horns. Like I said, his eyeballs are just sculpey clay balls, a little bit of paint, and his nose is a paint stick I just shaved down and glued into his head. And then I just take a tool engraver and I put the little lines and stuff in his face. So, so far so good. The fur on his legs was just, again, a cheap sheet of fur bought from Hobby Lobby for like $2 or $3. I went ahead and glued it onto his legs after I made his legs, and he's going to fit right here on his roof. His roof will be the base because he's pretty damn big. His belt is a piece of craft foam, the same as his shingles, and I like to use decorative thumbtacks as buckles. Man, anytime I find decorative thumbtacks, I keep them. There's all different styles. They make great studs and belt buckles, as you can see under his beard. That's just another decorative thumbtack for his belt buckle. So I try and use what I have on hand and try and use cheap materials, but yet dress them up a little bit. So overall, I'm happy with them. Like I said, ears, again, same thing. It's just a paint stick cut down and shaved down and glued to the side of his head. So Krampus is basically there. I did do a little bit of shopping last year. I picked up some stuff at the end of the year. I went to Lowe's, and they had this Santa Claus that was a plastic cone inside. I guess he was a tree topper or something like that, but he had come with a little bag, a little felt bag, so I thought, oh man, that's pretty cool. We can use that as a Krampus bag. So we got a little toy bag. We'll fill up with some toys later. He came with this little robe. I don't know if we'll use any of it, but I think this guy was like $30. I got him for $5. So I still got to make a robe for this guy. We got to do hands. I've got some ball hands kind of pre-made up, which, like I said, I usually stick to kind of standard nutcracker fare. I try and keep wood components as much as I can and not make them too elaborate where they don't look like they're not nutcrackers anymore. But like I said, I always make them where the nutcrackers work. So we got to put a rope for this guy. We got to distress. I haven't heat gunned his legs to knobby up the hair or anything like that. So he's basically pretty close. But then this past weekend we went to a place called the Santa's Closet. And it's sort of like a resale shop. They have all kind of vintage stuff. If I can find their link, I'll put it below in the description. It's like a 100-year-old farmhouse that has all these vintage ornaments, and it's got primitive stuff that people make and sell there. So me and April and the baby went up there, and boy did I find this guy. He is ugly as sin, but he was only $5. So I bought this from the Santa's Closet. This thing's probably from the 70s or 60s, hell if I know. But I thought, man, he's got a cool kind of beard. We can rob that. I don't know if the robe comes off. It's probably sewed on. We'll fix that with a knife, no problem. But I thought, man, this is like the perfect size Krampus jacket. We can put some patches on it and dress it up for our Krampus. Oh, it looks like it's tied. So let's untie this bad boy and get this robe off. And we got some free materials and scraps. So check, oh, it does come off. It's not sewed. Awesome. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of sewing or stitching or gluing together. So we got us a Krampus robe. And we got this little dress if you want to get pieces and patches off it. What the hell is in this thing? Some kind of, I don't know. Let's see what's in this thing. Ah, shit, it's little plastic BBs. Ah, Christ. Ah, shit, they're getting all over. Ah, crap. Garbage, garbage, garbage. All right. Little plastic BBs. Jesus Christ. That was a freaking mess. Okay, so we got us a Krampus robe. Now we got to start distressing this. So let's finish up Krampus first. I've got his hands. I want to get a coat of paint on this. And I'm just going to use a flesh tone, the same as I did on Krampus's face. And then I went over with the brown wash. His eyes are the same thing. I just did a red wash on the eyes to make them look like they're all exposed nerves and veins and stuff. So he looks like he's on crack. But I want to go ahead and get these hands painted up. We got to get a bag in his hand. We'll start working on our little baggie, maybe glue some patches and stuff on there. We'll pull this crap out and make room for some little creepy toys. So I'm going to paint these guys up. When we come back, we're going to glue the hands in. We'll get him on the roof where he stands, and we'll start getting his little sack situated. Okay, YouTube, so we got Krampus's hands glued in. I just went ahead and used hot glue. I'm okay with hot glue for stuff like this. I want to stick him up on his rooftop and drop him in the little peg holes where he's at. Okay, so that's how he's displayed. Got the whole thing in there. Okay, we're going to put his little bag in front of him while hanging out of his hands. I'm going to get rid of this little twine, and we're going to put chain on it. I go to like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and I buy all them cheap necklaces when they're on sale for 50%. There's lamp chains, there's ceiling fan pull chains in here. I just hoard chain for this project for a while now, so I knew I was going to need it. So we're going to wrap this bag with some chain, and I think I like to do a couple of patches on it too. I pulled out the little strawberries and mushrooms and berries and stuff I had on there, but it's actually a pretty cool little bag, and they got some stuffing in there which we'll probably reuse. But I want to keep this. I've got some ribbon and a bunch of material that came off the other Santas. I went to other Dollar Trees. This is the dress that came off of that dollar I just cracked open and spilled BBs all over. This is Dollar Tree stockings. I use this stuff on my my Headhunter Cannibal nutcracker, but it's got all these different kind of materials of reds. I've got the same old work shirt I used to clothe Krampus in. I've got a little bit of black and red checker stuff from the other Santa I got at Lowe's. So I think I'm going to cut some of this stuff off and put some patches on this bag to make it look like it's been pieced together over time. The ribbon, I don't remember where the hell I got the ribbon from. Allen Roth, is that Lowe's too? Maybe I got Lowe's on clearance too. So we got him in the hole though. I'm happy about that. Let's see. We're going to have to get his robe ready. We're going to start on his robe. I'm going to do patches and distress it. We'll get the red dye out. This is way too clean and pretty for him. We're going to lose this gold cord. We'll put some... God damn it. Come on, cobwebs. We'll put some chain around his neck and stuff. Like I said, I got a whole bag of chain. I got all kinds of different little pieces of string and twine and wax stuff I keep for small projects. I've got one last piece that came off that other little fat man I tore apart. I thought about making his beard longer, but I really want to be able to see his belt buckle, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down, and I want to put a patch of hair on his head, and we got to fit this cloak before I put his bag in his hands. So let's see if I can take a little strip of this off. Just another chunk of hot glue on top. I'll just take half of this. Alright, that's cool. And then I want to give him some kind of little hairline, so I'll probably glue this back here, since I got the hot glue line out, and I'll go right over his ears. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit. That's still a little bit too long. This will have some wispy white hair sticking out from under his hood. Get rid of that big chunk. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this down. Again, it ain't got to be a whole lot, because it's just going to sit on his head. And And with this fabric being open like this, man, it'll soak right into that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put it around from the front. Come on, Krampus. I'm going to give you some hairdo, brother. Yeah. Put some sideburns on them to play with this a little bit. Alright, then we'll pull some wisps down for them and stuff like that. Alright. Ooh, that stuff's hot. Okay, so now that we got his cloak out, I'm going to have to put some holes in his head for his little cloak. Let's see, I'm going to go right about here. There's his little horn. Right there. Right around there. And I'll tear these open with my hands. There we go. Alright, so now we got this little Krampus cloak. Oh yeah, you can still see his face. That's awesome. Alright, we got to gather this up. We got to put some chains around his neck. Maybe cut some of this off and squeeze it together closer. Maybe we'll cut the edge off, make those do it frayed. Let's go ahead and pull this cloak off, and we'll start distressing that, and we'll get his bag ready to go too. Okay, YouTubes. Well, I got a bunch of patches laid out on Krampus's little robe. Went ahead and used some RIT dye to kind of stain it. I'm just pouring it out, dumping it on the table, and then dragging his robe through it. I've been using the heat gun and just kind of distressing the bottom of his robe. When you fire this thing up, this polyester caves so fast. I mean, let that heat up a little bit. So I think the robe's about done. I'm going to let it dry. I mean, just look at how fast this stuff just wrinkles or puts a hole in it. That fast. Let's see. Boom. Just by barely touching it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up distressing the robe. We're going to get Krampus dressed, and we're going to put some toys in his little bag. Okay, YouTube, we got Krampus back on the roof. He's all dressed. I'll give you guys a little tour. I like how his hairs stick out past his little horns. He's all decked out. His patches are all glued in. I filthied them up. I'm really happy. Here's the button for the lights back here. So I think Krampus is basically pretty close. But we got to give him his sack yet. So I made this little sack, or I didn't make the sack. I bought the sack, and I just kind of destroyed it a little bit and put some patches on it. And then I went ahead and made some little toys. I got a little choo-choo train I made out of dowels, a couple of paint sticks, a couple of quarter-inch dowels, some toothpicks, and a little golf tee for the smokestack. So I'm going to make a little choo-choo train toy. I got a couple of Halloween bones from the little packs of bones from the dollar store. I'll throw some of those in a sack. I got a little bunny that cost me $5 frickin' for this guy at Hobby Lobby on the Mayberry Street miniatures. They're back by the dollhouse. So I was looking for something sort of you know, old school like kid toy from back in the day. So I found this little bunny and I dirtied him up a little bit. He cost me $5 for that little rabbit. And I went ahead and made some polymer clay candy canes, same as I made for my gingerbread men. So I baked these guys so Krampus can hand out a couple of candy canes. And of course, had to throw in some gingerbread mans. These guys I just stamped out with a little stamper I had. I think they're just the right size. They're perfect. So Krampus can give out some little gingerbread mans. They're kind of busted up and they got a couple little bites taken out of them. So last thing I've got is some dollar store bells. Can't have Krampus without no bells. And then we got the big thing of chain. So all these chains I've been hoarding forever, like these necklaces from Hobby Lobby and lamp pull cords and all kinds of crap. They're all falling apart. I want to go ahead and wrap a chain around his bag. I'm going to stuff some toys in there. I'm going to mount the bag in his hands. And I most definitely got to hang some chains on Krampus. I mean, this one's really awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and run some chains on him. We're going to hang some bells off of him. When I come back, Krampus is going to be done. The chimney's going to be stuffed. We're going to have his bag in his hand. I'm going to have the toys, some in the bag, some in the chimney. And we'll put the lights on and see this whole guy ready to go. Okay, YouTubes, Krampus is done. Don't touch, little man. He's still operational. His mouth still works, goes up and down. I got all his bells and chains on. I threw all his toys in the sack. I'm going to bring you guys in real close. I'll spin him around, give you guys a 360 of Krampus. Okay, YouTubes, let's take a look at this guy. Again, I started with just an off-the-shelf nutcracker. I cut his legs and arms off, made my own. The base is just scrap plywood and scrap wood. The robe I got off of that other doll. I just added a bunch of patches and little jingle bells. A bunch of necklaces and chains and stuff from ceiling fans and necklaces and Hobby Lobby and pull chains. I just dirtied up his robe. And I cut off his arms and legs, made my own. You can see he's got fur, he's got hoofs down at the bottom. We snowed the roof. I put all the little toys in I made the little choo-choo train, the polymer clay, candy canes. The bones are plastic left over from Halloween. I'm just happy with them, man. The beard is from the same guy I got from Lowe's last year. He's just a bunch of scraps, man. So I'm super thrilled to have a Krampus of my own. I hope you guys dig this, man. It's so easy just to take some stuff apart you can buy at the store and make it your own. So I hope you guys go get a chance to go see my brothers in the Trio of Terror, Vic over at Monster Misfits, and Dave at the Weird Kid Show channel. Guys, we're doing projects and stuff non-stop. We're doing Creepy Christmas, and believe me, we're about ready to get back going to Halloween because it's about that time of the year. Once the holidays pass, we're going to be at it. So thank you guys for watching. Till I see you again, keep it evil.